few years ago, I delivered a pepperoni pizza to a guy, and at first, I actually thought he was nice and kind. He invited me to have a slice and watch the Lakers versus the Heat at his house. Well, I said it was very kind of him, but I had to go. I was still working. But then the guy completely changed his facial expression from happy to really mad in a goddamn second. I got scared, man. I felt myself kind of forced to go inside a little. I was scared that he tried to do something against me if I refused. I used to have a taser by my side for protection, so there I went. As I stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind me. The room was dimly lit, and I noticed that all the windows were covered with thick curtains. He motioned for me to sit on the couch, and I did, my heart pounding in my chest. I tried to keep calm, reminding myself that I had the taser. The guy sat next to me, way too close for comfort, and handed me a slice of pizza. "Eat," he said, his voice now eerily calm. I took a bite, giving him a fake-ass smile, trying to act normal, but my mind was racing, searching for an escape plan already. The game was on the TV, but although I loved the NBA, I couldn't focus on it at all. All I could think about was how to get out of there. After a few minutes, he stood up and walked to the kitchen. I took the chance to glance around. The place was a mess, with dirty dishes and empty beer cans everywhere. On the wall, I noticed a collection of knives, all gleaming under the dim light. My stomach churned. He came back with 2 beers, handed me one, and sat down again. "Drink," he said, his serious eyes never leaving mine. I took a sip with my hand trembling. "You know, it's nice to have company," he continued. "I don't get a lot of visitors." Trust me, his smile was way too unnerving. I nodded, trying to play along. "Yeah, I bet," I said, forcing a smile. "So, how long have you been living here?" I needed to keep him talking, keep him distracted. "A while," he replied, taking a swig of his beer. "But enough about me. Let's talk about you." He leaned in closer, and I could smell the alcohol on his breath. "You seem like a good guy. Why don't you stay a little longer? We can hang out, have some fun." I could feel the panic rising. "I wish I could, but I really can't," I said, trying to sound firm. "I have to get back to work. My boss will be wondering where I am." His expression darkened again. I said, "Stay." His voice was cold, and I could see the anger flaring up in his eyes. I realized I had to act fast. "I just need to use the restroom first," I said, standing up. He pointed down the hall, and I hurried towards it. My heart was racing as hell. Once inside, I locked the door and took out my taser. I needed to find a way out. The bathroom window was small, but it might be my only chance. I tried to open it, but it was stuck. I could hear him pacing outside the door, getting impatient. With a final, desperate push, I managed to slide it open. I climbed up, squeezing through the narrow opening. As I dropped to the ground outside, I heard him banging on the bathroom door, shouting. I didn't look back, just ran as fast as I could. My legs were burning, but I reached my car. Fumbling with the keys, I finally got the door open and jumped in. I sped off with my hands shaking, glancing in the rearview mirror to make sure he wasn't following me. I drove straight to the police station. I filed a report, telling them everything that happened. They took me seriously and sent officers to the house, but when they got there, the guy was literally gone. The place was empty, as if he had vanished into thin air or wasn't even real. For weeks after that night, I couldn't shake the horrible feeling that I felt with this. I considered quitting that job, but I stayed in it to this day. At that time, I changed my route, my habits, even my phone number, just to feel safe. I got really paranoid. It took a long time to get over it, but eventually, life went back to normal. Years later, I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't managed to escape. a reminder to try to stay calm in any situation and never let your guard down. It was a terrifying experience, but it taught me to be stronger, more cautious. And now, every time I deliver a pizza, I can't forget to make sure to stay high alerted and be prepared for anything. So, there was one time that I delivered a pizza at a small, backwoods town down by the river when I was working with pizza delivery. I walked up there to this trailer, right? I saw it and knocked. Then a dude opened the door. I said, "Hi, how are you? Here's your pizza. It'll be 12.50. He says, "What the hell are you doing here? I didn't order a goddamn pizza." And as he began opening the door, I saw the knife that he was holding. I didn't get too scared at first. I thought it was really a misunderstanding and I had missed the right house. I apologized quickly and backed away, feeling the tension rise in the air. The man's eyes followed me with an unsettling intensity. I mumbled something about checking the address again and hurried back to my car. Once inside, I took a deep breath and checked the order slip. It was definitely the right address. Unsure of what to do, I decided to call my manager. My fingers trembled as I dialed the number, glancing nervously at the trailer. As this man was still there staring at my eyes with a creepy-ass smile. The line rang and rang before finally going to voicemail. Hell yeah, just what I needed. As I sat there, gripping the phone, a sense of dread settled over me. The man was still standing in the doorway. His eyes just wouldn't leave me and my car. I decided to try the address next door, hoping it was just a mix-up. I pulled up to the neighboring trailer, but before I could get out, the man started walking a little towards me. The next person opened the door of the other house. It was a woman, and I got shocked with what she said. She told me that man was indeed really goddamn weird. She said he also did some really bad stuff in the past, and that he fought verbally with her one day and she was scared he might do something. I think I will never know what exactly he did before. Panic surged through me as I quickly reversed and drove down the dirt road, putting some distance between myself and the trailer. And I swear, sometimes when you think the situation can't get worse, it gets way worse. I glanced in the rearview mirror and saw him standing in the middle of the road, watching me, with his knife still in hand. My heart was pounding really fast, and my mind raced with what to do next. I figured I should just go back to the pizzeria and explain what happened. I turned onto the main road, but something made me glance back. Suddenly, the man was gone. I shook my head, trying to dismiss all the fear, and tried just focusing on driving. The road was dark and lined with trees, creating an almost claustrophobic tunnel effect. As I rounded a bend, my headlights caught a glimpse of something up ahead. It was him, again, standing in the middle of the road. Man, picture his knife glinting in the beam of my headlights. I slammed on the brakes, stopping just a few feet from him. My hands were shaking uncontrollably as I checked the locks on the doors and fumbled for my phone to call 911. He started walking towards the car slowly. Now his expression was unreadable in the dark of the night. I dialed 911 as I explained the situation to the dispatcher, scared as hell. "Hey, there's a man with a knife and he's following me. I don't know what to do." I told the address and the dispatcher told me to try to stay in the car in somewhere safe and keep the doors locked. They were sending a patrol car, but it would take some time to reach me. Then I don't know how, but the man found my car. He reached me and tapped on the window with the knife. I could see the malice in his eyes now. A cold, calculated serial killer-ass look that sent shivers down my spine. I held my breath, hoping he wouldn't try to break the glass, and he didn't. He circled the car slowly. His knife was scraping against the metal, creating an eerie scratching sound. As I drove off, in the distance I heard the wail of sirens. That dude suddenly totally disappeared from my view. I strained to see where he had gone, but the darkness covered him. The sirens grew louder, and moments later, red and blue lights flashed right behind me, and I made a signal to the cops. 3 officers approached my car cautiously. I rolled down the window just enough to speak to them, still scared that the man was lurking in the shadows. They assured me they would find him and asked me to stay put. As they searched the area, I kept my eyes locked on the darkness, listening and watching if he would reappear at any moment. Minutes felt like hours, but eventually the officers returned. They hadn't found the man, but they promised to patrol the area for the rest of the night and thanked me for letting them know. Then they escorted me back to the pizzeria, where I finally felt a sense of safety. My manager was waiting with worry etched all over his face. I explained everything that had happened, and he insisted that I take the rest of the night off. As I drove home, the events replayed in my mind, each detail more chilling than the last. When I finally reached my apartment, I double-checked all the locks and sat in the dark with my TV on YouTube, trying to calm my racing heart. Sleep was elusive that night. I kept wondering what might have happened if I hadn't driven away when I did. That night would stay with me forever. Days turned into weeks, and the memory began to fade slowly, but I never forgot the lesson I learned that night. Sometimes the scariest things are the ones that lurk just beyond the edge of the light, waiting for the right moment to strike. And sometimes you never really know how close you came to the darkness. I quit that job a while after that, and I don't think I'll work as a pizza delivery man ever again. It was weirdly the craziest job of my life. This is a really crazy story. My story happened when I was delivering pizza at an extended stay hotel with a horrible reputation, like really bad. I'm talking about people getting robbed and all kinds of stuff like that. So I go to this dude's door to deliver a goddamn pineapple pizza. He opens the door literally with a huge smile on his face. He looked like he was in his late 20s maybe. And then the weirdness began to strike even harder than the pineapple pizza, because I suddenly see another man staring at our direction at the end of the hallway. He was wearing a gray hoodie and blue jeans. I couldn't really see his face too much, but by the way the dude in front of me looked at the other dude, I was sure they knew each other. It looked like they were friends. The dude at the end of the hallway just kept looking at me, and I immediately thought something bad was about to happen right there due to the hotel's horrible reputation and history. The guy in front of me continued with his smile, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that looked like he was planning some. It made the hair on the back of your neck stand up, not even gonna lie. He took the pizza from me with his eyes, just leaving mine to look at his friend that was still in the end of the hallway. And then that guy began to walk toward us slowly, and I realized my heart was pounding really heavily in my chest. I handed over the pizza and tried to make my way back to the elevator. I pressed the elevator button, but the man at the end of the hallway quickened his pace, closing the distance between us. My instincts screamed at me to get out of there, and I turned around, hoping to make a quick exit. But as I did, I heard the guy who took the pizza from me call out to his friend, "Hey man, why don't you come over here? We've got company," he said, his voice calm as hell and scary. My mind raced. I couldn't tell if they were just messing with me or if something more sinister was about to unfold. The guy at the end of the hall reached us, and the two exchanged glances before turning their full attention to me. "What's the rush?" the new guy asked with a mocking tone. "I've got other deliveries," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need to go." "Not so fast," the first guy said, stepping closer. "You look like you could have a break. Why don't you come in a little bit and join us for a slice?" My stomach dropped. Dude, there was no way I was going into that room with them. I took a step back, with my hand instinctively reaching for my phone in my pocket, but the second guy noticed and grabbed my wrist. "Whoa, where do you think you're going?" he sneered, tightening his grip. I looked around, hoping someone would come down the hallway or out of one of the rooms, but it was eerily quiet. The walls seemed to close in on me as I tried to think of a way out. "Listen, man, I don't want any trouble," I said. "Just let me go, and we'll forget this ever happened." They both laughed, and the sound echoed off the walls, making the hallway feel even more claustrophobic. The second guy leaned in closer, and I could smell his breath. Smelt like trash. "Trouble? We're just having a little fun," he said. "Besides, you can't leave yet. We haven't even gotten to know you." I felt a surge of adrenaline and yanked my arm free, shoving him as hard as I could. He stumbled back, and I took the opportunity to run. I sprinted down the hallway. My footsteps were pounding in my ears. I could hear them shouting behind me and their footsteps echoing. I reached the elevator and frantically pressed the button, praying it would arrive quickly. Fortunately, the doors slid open, and I jumped inside, hitting the close button repeatedly. As the doors started to shut, I saw them round the corner, and when I thought that was the worst that could happen, another dude popped out of nowhere. It was like a middle-aged dude. All their faces now were twisted in anger. The elevator doors closed just in time, and I slumped against the wall with my heart racing still. I took a deep breath, trying to calm down, but my whole body was shaking. When the elevator reached the lobby, I bolted out and ran to my car, not looking back for any second. I drove away from that hotel as fast as I could, my mind racing with what had just happened. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped something terrible. When I got back to the pizza place, I told my manager what had happened, but he just shrugged and said, "That's the risk of the job." I remember that night I couldn't sleep at all. I kept thinking about what would have happened if I hadn't managed to get away. I told my coworkers about this story. But then the story takes an even more unexpected and disturbing turn. 2 days later, my friend that worked with me told me about the news. A man had been found dead in that same hotel, just a few doors down from where I had delivered the pizza. The police suspected foul play, but no arrests were made. I still think that maybe it could have been me. The thought that it could have been me haunts me to this day. I quit my job not long after that. Delivering pizzas wasn't worth the risk sometimes. Every now and then, I still think about that night and how close I was to being screwed. It was a wake-up call. It doesn't matter the place or if you're working or not. Security always must come first. Mark these words and be safe out there if you deliver pizzas.